And joining me on this morning's news review, which is also live on Facebook and on YouTube, Joy 99.7 FM and myjoyonline.com or my Joy Online, it's Edwin Apia and Enimwa Enimado.
Yay!
Good morning. Morning, Edwin. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning.
Charlie, how be?
Yeah, we're doing great. Today is the David and Goliath version of the newspaper review. I mean, if you look at Enimwa versus me, I mean, it's
so let me ask, who is the David?
I didn't even see that coming.
I didn't even see it coming myself. You know?
Okay, so one more reason for our viewers to watch us on Facebook and on YouTube.
Because there's a David and Goliath situation going on.
Decipher for yourself. Okay, what's happening on the front pages this morning?
Well, if you look at the daily graphic, the daily guide, I mean, it's if you read through the papers today, it's basically about Rampage. So USC students on Rampage. I am not dead. The president is sparring wicked rumors about him collapsing at the hospital. A UMB CEO picks a top bank award, and AG nails UT Bank receiver over Wyoming's assets.
On the front page of the Daily Guide, President commissions NCA Common Platform. The Sierra Leonean president has been speaking, and he says we'll learn from Ghana. KNUST closed down. Students ransack properties. Dusk to dawn curfew imposed. On the back page is that story about the Legon Mall and parts of it collapsed, and Mason dies after jumping from the 6th floor of the Legon Mall, and 2 Chinese allegedly killed at casino by colleague.
Yes, and inside the finder, you will find that Asante Hino wants to assist in raising funds for Bible translation. Interesting. Whilst the NYA has also condemned attacks on the KNUST students. There's also a front page story about 90% of Momo fraud cases have yet to be probed because the perpetrators use fake IDs. And then Gold Coast Securities promising to refund monies to 100,000 of its customers.
On the front page of the Daily Statesman, notify us of any change in tariff. NCA directs telcos. The tech story also trending on the front page of the Daily Statesman. Ghana will be cyber secure. That's according to President Akufo-Addo.
There's an interesting story on the custodian newspaper, Fearless, Fair and Reliable. He's saying MPP has cleared NDC's 124 million CD Suba mess. And government is saying that, it's DKM victims are warning Mahama not to use them for political gains.
On the front page of the Today, violent demo hits KNUST. That story is basically on all the front pages of the newspapers. WGMA to probe offenders over posters on unauthorized places.
Yeah, and that's all for the papers this morning.
Okay, I have one more. The Chronicle, Kumasi MPs abusing statutory funds. That's according to XPM. Audit report reveals how funds were disbursed without proper accountability. Oforiata is worried over Kumasi's less than 3% contribution to the tax net, and KNUST security flee campus in disguise.
So let's begin with the biggest story, shall we? KNUST.
Okay, Daniel, so I'm just going to try and do sort of an update. We know that at the moment, or from yesterday evening, there was a curfew from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. this morning. The students have been told that by 12 noon today, they should have packed out, leaving only one hall open. That hall that is going to be left open will be for foreign students, and the authorities have said that security will be provided for these foreign students. We also know that those in charge of the university have said that they'll be meeting the National Security Council to decide when the university will reopen. We also know that Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh will be meeting the university authorities and students this morning at 10 a.m. So just a quick recap. There's been a lot of vandalization going on. The main admin block, the offices of the Dean of Students, the finance offices, there are about 30 vehicles belonging to staff that have been vandalized. The Dean of Students' car has been burned, 14 motorbikes as well of the security services, and also there's been a lot of ransacking and taking away of personal items. The other aspects of this story that comes to play is that there's a lot of talk about how the alumni may be influencing what is going on. Yesterday, speaking to Israel Lai, the lawyer for Unity Hall and alumni of Unity Hall, he said that Mr. George Tete, he says that the alumni have absolutely nothing to do with this at all, as much as they are now weighing into the story, and they were not the ones who were driving this on any level at all. But it always if you listen to every conversation concerning this KNUST issue, it always goes back to the introduction of women into the male halls. And that's how this thing seems to have started. If you remember, in 2014, the then Vice Chancellor, Professor Otu Ellis, threatened to turn both Unity and CAT into female halls if they did not get their acts together, because they were always fighting.
Halls. Interesting.
No, into mixed halls. Into mixed halls. If they didn't stop fighting. Now, that year, things got so bad. Well, you know that Tech have an annual debate, and it almost always comes down to Unity versus CAT, and it gets so bad that it cannot be done. And that particular 2014, that happened as well. What happened is that the leaders of both halls were not allowed to graduate because the clashes got really, really bad. So from 2014, there has been this threat and this talk of making these halls mixed halls, and at the bottom of all of it, there seems to be that issue. Another thing in terms of this demonstration is that there's a lot of report that a lot of people who are demonstrating are not students of KNUST. Well, it's been explained that, KNUST runs an in-out-out policy, and so first-year students come in, second, third, and fourth-year students are not residents. And so a lot of the first-year students who are on campus don't know the second, third, and fourth-year students, unless, of course, you're doing the same course with them. And so from when information comes out, we don't know these people who are demonstrating. It is flawed because there are a lot of students who are not... are not resident. That's pretty much where we are with the KNUST issue.
Interesting fact about George Tetewayo. He was Unity Hall president.
Yes.
He led Unity Hall at a time that he clashed with University of Katanga. He was removed as well. So it's sort of yes. He also spoke on Newsnight. But Edwin, it's very interesting how students feel so justified, but I'm finding it's difficult to see a clear condemnation of the distraction that came out, particularly from the students' front. So you find, I spoke with Elisha, the co-president of NUGS yesterday. You found, so we didn't sanction the destruction of property, but this was what we wanted. We wanted to march.
Exactly, but the point is that you can't. I think it's simplistic to simply condemn the destruction of properties. The students are actually saying that, in a sense, their human rights have been destroyed, and it's big news to think that 30 vehicles have been damaged. But the real issue is that they feel violated. The last Saturday, you remember what happened over there? Yeah. How some students were roughed up, 11 were arrested, and things like that. And if you study what the NY has said on the issue, they have actually traced the disturbances to what happened on Saturday and have described the university authorities' reaction towards that violence as a tacit endorsement of what has happened today, because the school authorities appear to have done very little about what led to the clashes on Saturday, and simply on Monday you just issue a statement and say they should go for lectures and every lectures is compulsory and blah blah blah. Of course, you should address the issue of the human rights issues that the students have raised. What do you mean when a student leader says they have suffered years of oppression, and actually says that what happened on Saturday was the last straw that broke the camel's back?
That, for me, is a very interesting point when you say years of oppression. A lot of people trace this to the changing of these two halls to mixed halls. Yeah. And then that raises a totally different
There's also
argument.
the curfews. There was a 10 p.m. curfew. There was the ID card when you're going to the bathroom. Professor Kwesi Obridanso has been accused, he's the vice chancellor, he's been accused of running it militantly and being very...
Yeah, because you see, Unity and university halls are not the only all-male halls that behave the way they do. The University of Ghana seems to have found a way to deal with this whole decongestion. Yes. So it's still a male hall, but not so many people are there anymore.
But even with the University of Ghana, there was the intervention by President Mahama when they went and misbehaved when Kofi Annan came because of this same issue.
I remember that very well. And what I'm talking about came after the decongestion, the mass decongestion. It came after all of these incidents. Okay, so I mean, it's very interesting, and these questions must continue. We must try and deal with them well, and that's why we are discussing it today on the show. We're going to have KNUST leadership. We're going to have executives of University Hall, and of course some concerned alumni of universities across the country who have been speaking very, very strongly about this. But before we go into all of that, let's deal with Mr. Akufo-Addo saying he's not dead?
Yes,
Well, of course, if he
said
can
it
say
himself.
he's not dead.
So clearly
yeah,
he's
yeah.
alive.
You watched the movie God is Not Dead, right?
Yes, I
Yeah,
watched it.
Akufo-Addo is actually saying he's not dead, and he was addressing.
So wait, are you asking us to send messages to everyone that we love?
That's
to
what
say
I'm saying.
Akufo-Addo is not dead? Go ahead, bro.
You know, he says he went to visit his brother-in-law at 37 Military Hospital. I think Captain Pius, something, and he had a hip operation, and so he went to visit him. And
Captain Pius had the hip operation.
Yes,
Okay.
and he went to visit him in the hospital. And the president actually joked that it appears that hospitals are toxic areas for the commander-in-chief, and they all have the right. But the issue is that there's been a rising tendency of fake news these days, and it should be very well. In Ghana, we kill people before they die.
Very true. Very true.
You know how Super Odi was killed before he came out to say he was not dead, and then later he died, right? And it's becoming very alarming. These days, the presidency is always issuing statement about this is fake news. The last time, the minority MPs were complaining that their IDs have been used to do some fake ID cards, NIE ID cards. And you remember Castro, when Castro died, when Castro was, he
went missing.
He went missing. Technically, he's still missing. There was a lawyer who said Castro had been hospitalized at an intensive care unit in Togo.
I remember that Togo story.
And the family had to actually stop the funeral to go and check if their relative was alive and kicking.
And he was not there.
And he was not there. Even last year, I think there was a story about some plastic rice. Bouncing all over the place and things like that. And it's very worrisome. Because you see, in Rwanda, people used radio to cause mayhem. And you can imagine
the famous kill the cockroaches.
Exactly. Imagine the kind of mayhem we can cause today, 2018, with social media. So the tendency of fake news these days is something that we really should have. I don't know. We should really have a way of dealing with it, because these days anything and everything can fly on social media, and before you have chance to correct it. And look, I'm telling you, by 2020. The general election we're going to have in this country, I can see a situation where social media will be so severely abused through fake news that we might have to start thinking about legislation to regulate how news is spread in this country.
So I'm going to do this very, very quickly. I just received this message when we were discussing this earlier from a friend on how to detect fake news. The first thing you can do is you can Google it and check if there are any credible news outlets that have done it. Check the profile of the message sender, the person who sends their message. Visit their profiles, identify other news stories they may have shared on their timelines to detect a pattern. There can't be any personalization on a profile. If there's no personalization on the profile, like no personal profile picture and what have you, is suspicious. You can profile their friends. You can also check the website's domain if this is something that you found on a website. Of course, if this is just something flying around on WhatsApp, you need to ask these questions of the person who sent it to you. Where did you get it? Where did you see it first? Which website was it on? Which credible news site was it on? And of course, check the site's description of the news source. So for instance, if it's on any xxy.com, you can go and check and see where did they say they got the information from. Okay, there are a number of these things. We'll be putting out that information on my Joy Online and on our social media.
But the older generation, the older folks may find it difficult to check these things on. I mean, how many people haven't had their mothers send them fake news before? I mean, I get fake news from my mother all the time. She sees something, it just sends it. People who can't readily access the internet or do the kind of checks that you just described, and that's where and
that's
these are
why
probably
those of
even a larger
us who know more should be doing these checks and putting out the disclaimers quickly, so that those who don't know enough can be educated. But guys, let's move on, shall we? Anymore into this Fujin fish farm that we dealt with yesterday.
Okay, so they've been speaking, and this is what they're saying. They're saying that they acted swiftly. They said that they made a formal complaint to the National Security, the EPA, and the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture. They have said that samples were sent to the GSA and the Water Research Institute. They have also said that the report has come back from the Ghana Standards Authority, and they screened for common poisons. And in that screening, there's indication that none of the affected fish was found to be poisoned. What they're saying is they're attributing it to environmental factors. They said that it rained. It's been raining a lot. Water levels have gone up. There's been a lot of discharge and waste products that have have gained access into their space, and so that's where the problem is coming from. They're also sending out an appeal that upstream human activities should be regulated, especially when it comes to dumping and stuff like that. So this is what they are saying. I don't know that it offers any comfort for us. Of
course, this is what they are saying, but the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development is still investigating, and some tests are being carried out on the fish. So we are waiting for the result of that investigation. And also, we understand the FDA is doing some random checks in some markets to see if, and they're doing this clandestinely, to see if that fish
out there,
ended up in any of our markets.
I only thought it was fair that we also hear their side of the story.
Which is excellent, but still, the word from the official authorities which we pay with our taxpayers' money is that if you're not sure the source of the fish that you're buying, but particularly if it's tilapia or salted fish, don't buy it. Unfortunately, that is what we are being told. I'm saying unfortunately because of all the businessmen out there that it may affect. But Edwin, let's move on into the Kumasi, contributing 3% of tax revenue.
Yes, interesting. The finance minister held a stakeholders forum with businesses in Kumasi ahead of the 2019 budget, and it emerged that of all the tax revenue we collect in this country, Kumasi contributes 3% of the taxes. And in Ghana, we have less than 2 million out of the 27 million who pay taxes. So if 3% is coming from one of the busiest economic hubs in Ghana, I'm very interested in finding out what
it's about the nature of our taxation, if you ask me. Yeah. If you ask me, because you see, we know that checks have showed that some 60% of our revenue comes from the ports, for instance.
Okay.
You see, so if that in Kumasi does not have a port like that, so we get a lot of taxes through import and export, and it then shows what are the methods that the GRA uses, because you see Kumasi has a lot of commercial activity going on, but is it the kind of commercial activity that can be taxed? How much of it is formal in the first place? You go there and you find a lot of shops, you find a lot of private businessmen. How are they being taxed? How are they being regulated? Abroad you can't just walk around and have money. The last time on corruption was we were with this one who said that even if you have unexplained wealth, you can just be checked on if you have evaded tax or how you made your money.
So God cannot bless you.
Is God raining money down?
Well, God can bless you in miraculous ways.
Even pastors, Joyce Meyer, Benny Hinn, they've all been
investigated. I remember when they were investigating
before.
Kenneth Copeland,
all of these guys.
A lot of
so even God's blessings, you have to explain it.
I mean, God's favor cannot be explained all the time.
Edwin, the answer is simple. Ask God to favor you in a way that you can explain. So I think Jesus, if you were around this time, you can't be removing coins from fishes' bellies.
No, he can't be doing that. and imagine if he actually did that. He can't be able to explain to the IRS that he got the tax, he got the coin from the fish. I mean that is.
Show us the fish. What is it, tilapia?
I mean, we wouldn't know.
Anyway, let's talk about the Legon Mall collapse.
Okay, so I'm going to try and do this really quickly. And the KNUST story has kind of covered this one. But apparently there was a beam. So you know that the Legon Mall is going up, and there was a beam that kind of fell. Some part of the structure came down. One man has died. Apparently he's the foreman of the project, a Sierra Leonean, and 6 other people who jumped. They were trying to get out of the way of the part of the building that was collapsing and the beams that were falling down. They are also in the hospital. So we'll be watching that space. But that's really what's happening. The funny thing about this story, though, is that nobody seems to want to talk about it. Even the newspaper is reporting that even upon going there, upon trying to get information from those who work there, those who are overseeing the projects, they're finding it difficult to find out exactly what happened. So we'll keep an eye on it and hopefully get some information about it.
Thank you, Anima. Thank you, guys. We're going online now, and the online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest, Goyle Good Energy, and download the Safe Doctor app now from Google Play. Safe Doctor, the future of better medical care. Now, Goyle, your trusted #1 and biggest indigenous oil marketing company, says, are equal to our numerous customers. Your loyalty to the Goyle brand has again been rewarded. For the 3rd consecutive year, Goyle is the CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. We dedicate this award to you, our valuable customers, for staying with us through thick and thin. Continue to buy from any of our 300+ service stations for quality fuel and lubricants. Buy Goyle. Let's support the economy. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle Yenara Yedia. Now is the time to own a Zenith MasterCard. Apply now. now for your Zenith MasterCard debit or prepaid card and enjoy 2 great benefits. No issuance fee and a chance to receive a gift of a CD equivalent of $50 on your Zenith MasterCard. Don't be left out. Sign up for your Zenith MasterCard debit or prepaid card today. Offer is available to account and non-account holders. Terms and conditions apply. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. MyJoyOnline.com begins with governments to share expertise with Sierra Leone on free SHS. Interesting. The BBC.com says Cameroon's President Paul Biya wins 7th term. Mr. Paul Biya at age 85.
That's democracy, right?
Yes. He took a 71.3%.
Exactly.
A lead. Okay, we took 71.3% in the vote. Hey, Mr. Paul Biya, good morning. I'm waiting for Mike Koroma.
I'm telling you.
In Sierra Leone to see if he will also win. You know he's running again.
Yeah.
Charlie. Al Jazeera.com says Turkey's Erdogan to divulge naked truth about the Khashoggi murder. So we are glad Jamal Khashoggi has been found. Anyway, you're going to give us some more information about the...
really just an update about how there was a body double, and it's quite long. I don't think I can do it.
So I saw that CNN clip, and
it's very interesting.
Very, very interesting. So, okay, very quickly, what happened was that apparently they took Mr. Khashoggi's clothes, puts them on a Saudi agent who was one of those who went in with him, and he came out of the consulate, and then he went to a crowded area. He went into the bathroom. He came out wearing different clothes. The idea was that they were trying to hide the fight. They were trying to show that
he had come out of the embassy, of the consulate. Yes,
exactly.
Which raises serious questions about how much weight you must put on any evidence you get. I mean, because if you can actually do a body double, a body double, if you get a very good look-alike, you can run away with murder.
No, but you see, the thing for me is that all this time that video was not put out because there was surveillance footage. So why didn't they put out that footage? That's the Saudis at the very beginning, so that they could stick to that story of Mr. Khashoggi having left the prison.
They were dressing up the body double.
Putting it together. Yeah, I mean,
I think
that happened that very day. No, that
happened that very day.
Yes. That happened.
No, it happened that very day, but obviously tracing it with video in the different places may have taken a while because it was different points. I mean, tracing it, so you have to get the CCTV from this footage and follow it and draw the lines and all of that. And perhaps they hadn't done that.
I don't think for
day.
technology, because this happened in Turkey, I don't think for a place like Turkey it will be that difficult to trace surveillance footage, and especially since from the very beginning you knew that you were going to do this. I'm going to assume.
I mean, to be honest, we are speculating when it comes to that.
We are speculating. So the answer that was given by the Turkish officials was that in the beginning, when this was done, they realized that this story was not going to fly. Because remember, Jamal went there with his girlfriend, and
she was waiting.
So if Khashoggi will come out, why wouldn't she?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't he come from back
to where she was? The whole episode may have been avoided if the Saudis knew that the girlfriend was in the car.
Yeah.
Because you see, her testimony is what is changing the whole
narrative in the first place. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot, Edwin Apia Inimadu, for bringing us the news review. We're going to make way for the BBC News at 7 coming up after this.
This was Kwame's life before Interplast In Green Irrigation System.
Sorry, what